series called the Successful Club Series has some potential to produce a little bit of dry material. And I do think you made the right call to kind of scrap some of the PowerPoint slides and some of the maybe more scripted material. I can only imagine compared to some of your previous speeches, whether it's a competition speech, one of your the Darren Bishop Rhino moment, you could definitely, preparing yourself for a speech like this, you can find yourself in a little bit of turmoil. So I'm going to run quickly through the pros and then really talk about my recommendations for this type of speech. As I said, you ditched the PowerPoint and made it, you weren't too formulaic with your delivery, which this type of speech definitely has that risk. The humor, the tone, the confidence was very good throughout. You did touch on specifically how to get involved, and I think you had a great call to action by literally taking our names down in the middle of the speech. But the best part was obviously your intro. That was almost a standalone type Scott Brown speech, if you will. It was very personal. There was 1, 2, 3 dozens of props if you count all the pieces. That really captured us in. I think anyone that has any experience with chess, there was that personal connection. And even those that don't, I'm sure we've all had a mentor at some point in our lives. That being said, through the rest of the speech, there was not enough of the Scott Brown, if you will, throughout it. I do think you became a little more formulaic with the delivery and the content throughout as you kind of got closer probably to the source material. You didn't really state the problem that we were looking at from a Rhino's perspective when it comes to mentorship. I think that would have helped to start things off. You touched your 3 different areas that you wanted to cover, and the second one was improvements to the process, and I'm pretty sure you didn't really touch on that very much at all, and I think that was a big miss. The other big miss I thought was, so I'm a human being, I'm a little selfish, and if I'm listening to a speech like this, I want to know what's in it for me, and I don't think you really touched on what the value is for a mentor to become a mentor. I think it's very clear that having a mentor is very valuable in any type of situation, especially in a public speaking club where there's fear involved, with the actual activity. So I don't think you needed to sell that as much, but you did not sell the prospect of being a mentorship as much. To kind of improve that, so those two key things, improving the process and what the benefits for the mentors are, these are just some rough suggestions that I think you can use, is maybe working with the VPE. Maybe we figure out, and this is something I've had in previous clubs, like a good way to match a mentor and a mentee, like making sure that they fit together well. A bad fit is obviously going to be doomed from the start. Obviously a big part of that is actually having the mentors to deal with that. Some type of, maybe even for new members, to kind of keep them engaged and make sure we don't have churn too early on in their membership, is maybe some type of mentor-mentee mixer early on. A formal guide, I think you mentioned, for mentors on how to get their job done. I think if you had touched on that more, you just said, we'll have a guide, and then that was it. And then I think really stressing that Rhinos is not just about public speaking, it's not just about leadership, but it's also a social club. And I think really pushing that point home will get more people to see the value. And we will follow up after, but thank you, because that's a tough speech.